I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, join us in an enlightening discussion with Ronald Stein, professional engineer, and Todd Royal, master of public policy with decades of experience in energy literacy. These esteemed authors and consultants have co-authored 3 groundbreaking books, including the Pulitzer Prize nominated Clean Energy Exploitations. It challenges widespread misconceptions about energy and its impact on our world. We're delighted to have this very talented authors join us here today on Spotlight. We thank our team for helping us put them in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support writers like them by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing their wonderful book. The links are below this interview. Todd and Ronald, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Logan, glad to be aboard.
Glad to be here, Logan. Looking forward to our discussion.
Glad to have you. Let's start out with the obvious. Somebody like myself doesn't want to buy an electric car yet. There's too few charging stations. It takes too long to charge my car. It doesn't go far enough once it's charged. If the car price comes down to $35,000, if the car can go, 400 miles without having to be recharged, then I might be interested. So why are cars being forced down our throats that are electric instead of building a better mousetrap and attracting buyers like myself? I'll let you guys go. Let's go first, Ron, then we'll go to Todd.
Okay, the auto industry has been mandated to reduce the emissions of their entire fleet. And so far, that the only way to meet those low numbers is they have to eliminate the gasoline engine. I, as an engineer, I thought a hybrid was fantastic. You double your gas mileage and you buy hundreds of years to develop battery technology. But the auto industries have been mandated to reduce emissions so low, they have to eliminate the gasoline engine in the hybrid. So you're going to see a few hybrids if it fits the calculation of the auto manufacturer, but most auto manufacturers have eliminated hybrids and are all in to EVs.
Yeah. Todd, let's get your thoughts on this.
It's a way to control politics. There's no reason to use an electric vehicle. It is not a workhorse vehicle. The electrical grid can't handle it. Unfortunately, as I would say, this is a hard message. This is a way to get people to vote for the Democratic Party. It's a way to do away with human ingenuity. It's a way to do away with freedom. It's a way to do with mobility, because what's the best thing we can do? We're not going by horse and buggy anymore. Now we can fly around the world. We can drive across a country. This is a way to control. It feels like when you say it's conspiracy theory, but it's not. Right. Just look at the party, look at the Democratic Party, or frankly, you can hear that whole uniparty theme. This is about taking away people's freedom, taking away people's choice, and taking away ingenuity. That's what this is really.
Right. And some politicians like Barack Obama will actually articulate it and say $5 gallon gasoline is a good thing because it'll stop people from driving. So we know their MO at this point, and making it expensive to drive is part of it. Tell me a little bit about the fact that electricity truly isn't clean. I mean, even if it's nuclear, there's nuclear waste. So guys, have at that. Tell me about how the party says, or the Democrat Party or people on the left say it's non-polluting, when in fact, electricity is polluting as well.
Todd, you want to start on that one?
I'll take that one. Okay. Our third book says that, like when you look at a wind turbine or a solar panel, that every single component in it comes from fossil fuels. One of the most energy intensive things you can do is polysilicon to make a solar panel. Most of that is done in China. They're the world leader in coal. So anything that has to do with any form of electricity, you are going to be emitting. You're going to have greenhouse gases. You're going to have carbon. So to say that there's ever clean electricity, it's not the case. The only clean electricity you truly have that's actually reliable is nuclear power. You do have waste, but in any form of energy to electricity, there's going to be some trade-offs and there's going to be some sort of byproduct. Nuclear just tends to be the best choice.
Out of all those choices, absolutely. Talk to me a little bit about lithium batteries, Ron. They tend to be problematic as well as the sites where the lithium is mined, correct?
Oh, exactly. In our book, Clean Energy Exploitations, After writing it, we learned the lithium is controlled by the Chinese. Most of it's in South America. The cobalt is in Africa, controlled by the Chinese. But after writing the book and learning where the lithium is coming from, because we're exploiting people that have yellow, brown, and black skin, and the environmental degradation is atrocious. The humanity abuses are unbelievable. And I've always taken the position after writing the book, I won't buy an EV for ethical and moral reasons, because I know where the lithium and cobalt is coming from, and I'm not willing to financially support that. On the contrary, our government, as Todd points out, Democrats particularly, they're supporting that. They provide incentives to buy an EV. They're providing financial incentives for China and Africa. Continue exploiting your people. Continue the environmental degradation on your property. It's okay if it's over there because we can't see it.
Exactly.
I think it's unethical and immoral.
Yeah,
The
they're taking a
that.
problem and just outsourcing it to another area, whether it's one part of the United States or another part of the world. That's for sure. Todd, talk to me a little bit about renewable energy sources such as solar and wind. Are those techniques ready to replace fossil fuels at this point?
Well, what you really have to remember, Logan, is that it's renewable electricity. Mm-hmm. It's only for electricity. There's no way at this time that it can replace any of the over 6,000 products that come from fossil fuels, that come from a barrel of oil, that all the petrochemicals that you have, every single transportation system in the world, it basically is relying upon a fossil fuel. So you can have renewables, but only for electricity. And typically they only work about 25 to 35% of the time at best. Whereas, let's say a nuclear power plant works 92% of the time, what's referred to as a capacity factor. You've seen trillions upon trillions invested. I believe it's over 10 trillion now within the last 20 to 25 years. And still, when you look at total energy consumption, that's everything. Yeah. Transportation, electricity, industrial uses, you're still only looking at about 10 to 12% comes from renewable electricity, which is solar panels and wind turbines. Some people say biomass, hydroelectric, but again, if you're just looking at the wind and the sun, it's intermittent, it's variable, and there's many times the wind doesn't blow and the sun doesn't shine. So unfortunately, it's still not technologically viable that renewables can displace fossil fuels.
Exactly. And then also,
Logan,
if you have solar panels at home, you need batteries in many cases to store the power, and that's more pollution because those batteries aren't pollution free. You were going to say something, Ron?
Yeah, expand on what Todd said, because you have to remember that the world populated from 1 to 8 billion in less than 200 years, right after the discovery of oil. It's because of all those products that Todd talked about. We now have a medical industry that didn't exist 200 years ago. We have communication that didn't exist 200 years ago. Transportation that didn't exist 200 years ago. We got 50,000 merchant ships around the world. We got 50,000 jets around the world. They didn't exist. Airports didn't exist. And wind and solar can only make electricity. Yeah. Hospitals can't survive on just electricity. The defibrillator needs electricity to run, but it needs oil to make the defibrillator.
Yeah, I mean, some are saying that this Green New Deal is basically, or has the potential to turn the United States into a third world country because you're hamstringing us at our source of power. While China is, such a polluter that I stepped off a plane in Beijing about 2 years ago, and I thought there was a fire in the airport. I realized, oh my God, this airport must be on fire. Then we stepped outside and it was worse and more acrid. And that was every day.
It was a clear day.
So what's the point of putting us all in Teslas that cost $75,000 or more, supplementing them with tax dollars and, burning, coal or, having power plants out in the country that are, fueling these vehicles anyway? It just doesn't make sense. It seems like it's a game of kick the can.
Well, there's not enough lithium in the world to make as many batteries you need. Most of the cobalt's in one country, in Africa. It's not in any other country. And we can exploit those people. And it's really just atrocious. But the main thing that The wind and solar, they're only generating electricity. They manufacture nothing for society. And if you get rid of oil, you're basically get rid of a couple billion people from diseases, malnutrition, weather-related deaths. I mean, this conversation ends because there's no iPhones, iPads. I mean, there's no way to communicate around the world.
Yeah. It's a frightening prospect, and it's being jammed down our throats. We're being told it's environmentally responsible when it is not necessarily environmentally responsible. Todd, I'm going to give you the last word.
You made a great point a moment ago about, lithium, battery energy storage systems. What you have to remember, a gentleman named Francis Merton has done some calculations that showed if the United States were to try to store all of the electricity that it used every year, if you did it under current technology, it would cost over $450 trillion.
Wow.
These are not serious people. These are not serious proposals. Typically, that's coming from different folks, typically Democrats, but you get Republicans too. Mm-hmm. If you really want to be serious, and if you really want to be environmentally friendly, you go from coal, then you go to natural gas, then you use nuclear. And that's what you do. And you try to make people wealthier, healthier, and more prosperous. And that's what typically has clean environments, water sanitation systems, sewage systems, clean air, your children are educated. So you want available energy that is going to be abundant, it's going to be affordable, it's going to be reliable, and it's going to be resilient. And right now, those two factors that can do that, those two variables are fossil fuels, oil, natural gas, and coal, and nuclear power. And that's it at this time.
Gotcha. Well, we're all looking forward to innovations down the road. They're just not here yet. So we shouldn't be forced to adopt things that aren't ready to go to market. And I wouldn't put solar panels on my house at this point. I wouldn't invest in wind turbines, and I certainly wouldn't buy an electric car right now anyway. Gentlemen, Ronald Stein, professional engineer, and Todd Royal, master of public policy, both have decades of experience in energy literacy, and they are esteemed authors and consultants. They have co-authored 3 groundbreaking books, including the Pulitzer Prize nominated Clean Energy Exploitations. And that is not an easy goal to achieve, to be nominated by the Pulitzer folks, particularly when they're going against what is called clean energy. So wonderful work, guys. We appreciate your time here on Spotlight. Thanks so much for joining us.
Logan, have a great week.
Ron, thank you. Todd, thank you as well.
Thank you, Logan, for having us.
Appreciate it. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.